Hello everyone, welcome to the Casual Gamer. I am Tyramist on Rift. Feel free to send me a friend request or a group invite. I am up for all kinds of gaming. You can also find me on Steam at The Toxic Avenger. Today I will be teaching you Chloromancer for raid and tank healing purposes. Unfortunately, Chloromancer is no longer a valid raid healing tank spec, but it can still heal in dungeons. Your souls that you are going to use are going to be very simply the Chloromancer, the Stormcaller, and the Harbinger. If you do not yet have the Harbinger role, you can always use Necromancer. You're just going to have to reorganize some of your points. For now, I'm going to teach the Chloro Storm Harb build. As you can see on screen, you're going to want to put 61 points into your Chloromancer. Over in your Stormcaller, however, you're going to want to put 5 of 5 into your Storm Energy. This gives you an extra 10% base spell power. Chloromancers are all about that spell power. You're going to want 4 of your 5 points in Cyclogenesis, pardon me. This increases your spell crit. As a healing, your critical hit chance is actually very necessary because you need those big heals to pop occasionally. Your Living Storm is going to be your 10th point in Stormcaller. This on an AE or a single target adds a little extra damage and a little extra healing. Over in your Harbinger spec, you're going to want to use Eldritch Knowledge. Now for the Necromancer variation, instead of 10 points in Stormcaller, you're only going to put 5 points into Stormcaller of Storm Energy. Then you're going to put 5 points in Death's Ally on Necromancer, followed by another 5 points in Fresh Graves. This only gives you 5% spell power instead of the 10% from Harbinger. However, if you do not have Harbinger for some reason, this will give you that spell power boost without breaking your bank. You do lose one button, but you'd rather have that spell power, trust me from personal knowledge on this. As for your Masteries, at level 61, your Bulwark of Souls. Every cast of Vile Spores or Ruin resets your Radiant Spores. The more targets you have Radiant Spores on, the more your allies can heal themselves. Since Radiant Spores casts 8 targets, using Bulwark of Souls guarantees that all 8 targets will hold Radiant Spores as long as you're able to cast. For your level 62 Masteries, you want Healing Expertise. This is a base 5% healing increased and absorption increased. This is excellent for the Chloromancer, especially if you don't have that extra 5% from Harbinger. For your level 63, you want your Eldritch Swiftness. Now, the 4th button on this one is what we're interested in. It reduces your Natural Splendor's cooldown time by 60 seconds and allows you to move while channeling the ability. For your 64, Calculated Annihilation. On its second bulletin, it increases your Withering Vines by 100%. This gives you 32 seconds of dot time, damage over time, on a healing ability. This is great because as long as you can keep your Withering Vines up, you can produce more HPS, healing per second. For level 65, you want your Phantom Stream. To quote a well-time-worn phrase, this is an oh shit button. You can heal yourself, you can heal targets, or you can cause damage with this ability. Sorry about closing that. This, along with Essence Surge, are going to be your primary saving graces. Now, macros for the Chloromancer, are very simple. I use a focus target setup, which is simply target the target you wish to heal, press Shift and F simultaneously to set your focus. Once your focus is set, you can organize its placement from the Edit Layout screen. Here, you are able to use spells, such as Bloom at Focus, as you see with the macro here, to target your heals directly to your target of choice without having to untarget whatever you're attacking. This is very useful should you need to spot heal your tank while you're spot healing another player. It's also very useful because you can target the enemy while not having to worry about facing your tank to heal. It allows you to target your tank no matter where they stand. Very simply put, you can put all your single target healings into this form of macro. Same with your Symbiosis cooldown. It's very useful in this manner. You can also put your Synthesis in this. You don't have to use synthesis like this. I choose to because it allows me to quick set my synthesis should my tank die. Your wild growth ability is a raid cooldown, but you do use this in dungeons and open world. It's a damage increase to the group as well as an AE healing. I use two different macros. I use a yell and I use a raid macro. They have their different uses, but it's totally player based. If you want to just use the yell, it's very simple. You put your show wild growth, /Y, tell them what you want to tell them. Then you put /cast wild growth as seen in the macro here. The macros window will automatically remove the backslashes. However, they do not remove the hashtag of #show. This is what gives you the wild growth marker on the actual button. Now, this synthesis macro is what allows you to cast free-handed a focus synthesis. As you can see on screen, I have no focus, but when I press the buff, it automatically sets my focus. That's very useful should you have to do a synthesis swap. You can put the name of the tank you wish to swap to, press the button twice, and it swaps your focus and your synthesis. Your battle reses, again, this is player preference. You can put into a focus macro, which will allow you to res your focus on a drop of a pin should they die. Then a freehand res. All raid groups I have been in have asked for a call out in voice comms or in raid chat. As you can see on screen, this is my raid chat macro. And that's all it's for. It reses and tells them in raid who I'm resing. That's what the percentage sign and the capital T do. It allows you to see the name of the person you're resing, as you're going to see on screen. Well, it decided to be a butt. Your macros for your cleansing are very simply 0, 1 through 10. Trying to put this on a 0, 1 through 20 is very time consuming, and you're going to end up killing everybody rather than healing. I don't use this one very often. You can generally get away with using your Cleansing Rush. The reason you can get away with using Cleansing Rush is because it also procs a heal. Now, there are only two other macros you need to worry about, and that's your raid healing and your tank healing macros. Again, with Phantom Stream, you can put it on the same focus macro as Bloom. For your tank healing macro, it is Void Life with Suppress Macro Failures, Ruin, and then Void Life. Now, this is for those of you who don't have Tier 3 raid gear, as my tune does, as several tunes do. This allows you to focus your healing through your synthesis target and focus your Void Life damage into heals onto one person. Your raid healing macro, also known as the Ruin macro, Vile Spores macro, contains Corrosive Spores, Ruin, and Vile Spores. The only reason you put Ruin into any of these macros is because it allows you to continuously keep Radiant Spores refreshed. Corrosive Spores is into the AE macro so that you can use it on an AE target. Plus it's an extra dot damage for hot heals. Heal over time. These are your macros. Feel free to pause the video, write them down, copy them, whatever you need to do. As for your bar layout, again, as most people will tell you, how you lay out your bars is totally up to the player. I have my buffs on one located side of the bars, over here to the far right above my bags. You need Living Energy. This reduces all ability costs by 5% for all party and raid members. If you're in a raid and you see somebody else pop something like that, example, a bard has an ability, yell at them, tell them you got a Chloro and you don't need them. For raid healing, you need your Life-Giving Veil. This allows all your healing from your Ruin and Vile Spores macro to heal up to 10 targets. Your synthesis, which I have my focus synthesis here as well, is to be cast on a target. You cannot cast this on yourself. Generally, as a mage, you will cast this on your tank or a healer if you're doing raid healing. You can cast this ability simultaneously to Life-Giving Veil, which it only allows for a little extra focus or trickle healing, but it's a little extra that maybe you didn't have before. You're going to want Living Aegis. Without this buff, you don't have the Chloro's health, which is what Radiant Spores needs to heal. It also increases the amount of HPS you give, as well as healing you every time you take damage. Not a lot, but enough to keep you from dying every 5 seconds. Now, if you have the Harbinger build, you have one of two buffs here. The only purpose for using Lightning Blade is strictly aesthetics, because you are not using slashing attacks as a Chloromancer. That's another build that's a Chloro Harb. I'll go over that in another video. Simply, your buttons you need on the bars. Put your healing macros however you wish to have them. Whatever's easiest for you. Put your Wild Growth and your Reses on the bar. Put your single target and your AE healing and your cooldowns on the bar. If you have Stormcaller's 10 points, put Living Storm on your bar. This, as I said, will help you with minor AE trickle healing. You're going to want Corrosive Spores separate, because if you're using your Void Life macro, it's not in there and you're going to want it. Radiant Spores is a must. If you don't have it, you aren't doing it right. Withering Vines, again, this is totally up to you whether or not you cast it, but we did put the Mastery in to extend its dot time. Try to use it every fight. Generally, it's a single target buff. Great for PvP. Always put Natural Splendor on your bar. If you forget anything else from this video, remember to put Natural Splendor on your bar. Natural Conversion has sporadic uses, as it only affects spells. Great for PvP. Couple optional buttons to have out are your Power Stones, your Planar abilities, your potions. If you have your 10 points in Stormcaller, Ride the Wind is a great speed boost to get you out of red or shit on the ground. Your Living Shell is a shield. It only heals you or shields you for about a quarter of your health and goes away within a few hits, but it has its purposes. You also have your Essence Conversion. This takes and restores 15% of your mana at 5% of your health. Great trade-off, especially you can just pop a hot and use that a couple times to get your mana back. Flourish is an AE heal. It's a plug and play. You hit the button, it casts, it heals. Great ability to proc your AE trinkets off of. Now your rotation is even simpler than any of this. You precast Radiant Spores. This is if you're a raid healer. If you're a tank healer, you're going to precast Synthesis first, but always get Radiant Spores on the target. If you are in a single target fight, you will then use your Withering Vines, followed by your macro. Once you get your macro going a little bit, use your Wild Growth, and then continue with your macro. I am using my Void Life macro to show you how it works. Very simply, you just press the button and it goes. From here, you manually click your Corrosive Spores. This is if you get ads occasionally. If you are an OP mage, like a lot of players are anymore, you can just simply run your Ruin and Vile Spores macro, which is, yes, an AE healing, but at 20k, 30k hit, that's a lot of HPS translated out. The rotation is just that easy. You keep your Withering Vines up, and you continue your cast of your macro, and at the 5 stacks of Boon of Life, you can instant cast Nature's Touch. Just instantly. A new ability of the mage is this. It allows you to get Vile Spores 3 times instant cast. No channel, no cast time, no nothing. Also affecting natural healing. This also allows for Healing Torrent to be cast instantly at 4 stacks of Boon of Life. Now, as a tank healer, you can pre-cast natural healing before the fight to get your stacks of Boon of Life stacked. And then when your tank goes in, you can either instant cast Healing Torrent to give them a little boost healing, or you can hit Nature's Touch to boost heal everybody. That is my Chloro build. It is that simple to run. A lot of people have asked me for this spec. I have now obliged. If you have any questions, leave questions in comments, and I will get back to you immediately. Feel free, again, to send me an in-game mail, in-game friend request. Tell me you've seen this video, and we'll see what we can do about helping you out in-game. This is Tyremist, signing off.